Hi everyone, welcome to GBE Reviews. I'm your host Joe, and today I'm going to be talking about the anime Chaos Dragon. Give you a little background. Chaos Dragon is a 12-episode, single-season anime produced by Sotsu and Toho Animation in 2015. This anime actually has an interesting and confusing background. The original medium was a role-playing game between 5 excellent industry character creators, including 2 from Type Moon Studios, who produced Tsukihime and Fate Stay Night. Their 6-day play session was then adapted into a 7-part light novel, which became the source material for this anime. So basically, the source of this anime was a game of D&D. Well, Japanese D&D. As a side note, I'm going to discuss this anime a bit differently than I normally do, with a strong bias towards why you should give it a chance. If you look at its score on my anime list, it is sitting right around a 5.8 at the time of this recording, which in my anime list terms is basically complete garbage. That's like really bad and one of the lowest scores I've seen for an anime. So as I was flipping through, I had to give this one a second glance. On the other hand, the light novel source material is sitting at around an 8.5, which is considered an extremely respectable score. So I was curious what the big gap was between the two. And when I saw the extremely low score, I almost turned away and skipped it. But then I watched the preview and thought it looked pretty badass. The intro song sounds really awesome, and the concept looked pretty cool. Turns out I was, kinda right. I don't think this one is a classic by any means, but I think it's decent. I think it's certainly worth a watch for the right kind of person. Now that I've gone through the background, let's discuss the story a little bit. The story focuses on Ibuki, who is the heir to the throne of the island kingdom of Niru Kamui. Niru Kamui was conquered in the west by the neighboring nation of Kodan, and on the east, it had its land stolen by their ally Donadia. On top of that, the country's deity, the Red Dragon, went mad and started killing people and burning villages. Ibuki, representatives from Niru Kamui, and representatives from the other 2 kingdoms are banding together to find and defeat the Red Dragon. At the same time, there is also fear of war and a rebellion being formed by the people of Niru Kamui. So basically, there's a lot going on in this story. One of the main themes of this story is sacrifice. Ibuki, as the heir to the throne, is able to make a connection with the Red Dragon and use his power. The problem is that the use of his power isn't free. Ibuki is forced to sacrifice someone he cares about in order to tap into the dragon's power. It's rare to see the theme of sacrifice handled in this way. Normally, a character may need to sacrifice troops or metaphorically sacrifice someone by putting them in harm's way, but to literally have to sacrifice them as an offering to obtain power isn't something you see all that often, especially from the main hero. Another interesting piece of the story is how almost all of the main party members have hidden motives and agendas. Each of the characters have their own reasons to try and kill Red Dragon, or in some instances save him. And the crazy amount of politics and subterfuge going on in the story adds a lot as well. Each of the nations needs to ride the political waves to prevent an all-out war from occurring, and the characters also need to work together during this time of turmoil. The story also does a great job of introducing tons of different characters from all 3 nations, and weaving together a plot that gives you background about the situations of the world, along with each of the individual characters. It also has quite a few solid plot twists, where characters you think will be bad turn out good and vice versa. Also, the main antagonist is a pretty solid character, and has a good mix of tragic past and crazy required to intrigue the audience. The main weakness in the story is that it can get a bit confusing. Having the 3 kingdoms and so many characters makes it difficult to follow all the politics going on behind the scenes. Also, there are a handful of plot holes that are not answered by the end of the anime. That being said, the ending is solid if not a little cliche. I felt that the conclusion was logical and the story resolved the pieces of the plot it set out to resolve, though I admit they seem to have left it open for a sequel, which will definitely not happen given the general negative reception of this anime. Alright, so let's talk about the soundtrack. The intro song of this anime kicks ass. Also, the 2 other voice pieces are solid as well. I definitely suggest giving those 2 a listen if you like heavier music. As far as the music relating to the anime, when the intro song kicks in, you know something sick's about to happen. There is also a standard mix of orchestral, battle, and emotional music as well. It is all done well and serves to enhance the anime, even if there isn't much that stands out above other scores in the genre. Here are a few selections from the OST to give you an idea of the kind of music you'll hear in this anime. The art in this anime looks pretty good. It is done in 2015 and is on par with other anime done around this time. The character models look good and they are diverse. One thing I will add is that the fight scenes are a bit lacking. I was hoping they would be more frequent, but when they appear they are at least done fairly well. Here are a few snippets from the fight scenes, so you get the kind of idea of what kind of action you're going to see. The characters in this anime are typical for the genre. One thing I will admit is that there was less character development than I would have hoped for. Other than a few characters playing into some of the plot twists, most of the characters have personalities that remain unchanged from when they were originally introduced. They also generally conform to standard tropes and very few of them bring anything unique to the table. In its defense, one thing that I thought was epic was the death toll indicator at the end of each episode of the anime. It varied each episode and showed an outline of each character. The character was either a black shadow if they had not yet been introduced, their standard colors if they were alive, or they got a yellow X to cover them up and turn from their standard color to red if they died that episode. They were displayed as red if they had died in a previous episode. They introduced this outro during the first episode and it sets the tone for the entire rest of the series, as in tons of characters are getting introduced and a certain percentage of them are not making it to the end. Also, not to spoil too much, but I have to add that this isn't one of those BS anime where dead characters come back due to magic or some other nonsense. If you die in Chaos Dragons, you are dead and gone and not coming back. I really respected this, and it added weight to the decisions Ibuki needed to make about using his power. Alright, so let's answer the number one most important question. Should you watch this anime? Let's review some of the good and bad elements of Chaos Dragon, and who should watch this anime. The kind of people who would like Chaos Dragon, aka the good. Do you enjoy anime that focus on politics and the macro background of the universe, along with the main character's quest? Do you enjoy an anime with dark themes that isn't afraid to kill off characters? Do you appreciate a plotline with lots of twists and characters with hidden agendas? Alright, let's talk about the kind of people who would dislike Chaos Dragon, aka the bad. Do you dislike dark-themed anime and generally like something light and fun? Do you dislike anime that gets bogged down in details and just want a simple-to-follow story without a ton of background? Do you like strong character development and dislike characters who conform to basic tropes? Do you want a lot of fight scenes with really strong choreography? In summary, Chaos Dragon is a paint-by-numbers action anime that, in my opinion, does a few things that make it unique enough to stand out. Considering it is only a single season, and the light novel has been given such a high score, unless you have a strong aversion to this kind of anime, I suggest giving it a chance. You will probably find that it isn't nearly as bad as everyone makes it out to be, and you might enjoy it more than you thought you would. Well, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you found this review helpful, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of GBE Reviews. Again, I'm your host Joe, saying to you, Jeanne.
Oh, please don't let me ใจ